people that, yeah, they're pro-Second Amendment, but they're not so pro-Second Amendment that they're going to deny themselves their terrible burrito from Colorado wannabe burrito over, over the issue. So, but the site over there on Facebook, the No Guns Equals No Money, has only been around for a short period of time and already has over 3,000 likes. In less than a week, it's garnered that much, and it gains more every day, and it's steadily building its membership, so to speak. So if you're pro-Second Amendment, go ahead and take a look at the page and like it, and take a look, and maybe there's some places where you have a choice between Restaurant A and Restaurant B, and one of them is on the no guns list. Well, you might want to go to the other, depending on your own personal preferences and choices and stuff like that. Not telling you what to do, just saying that they have information out there that, when you're torn, when you're ambivalent and can't make up your mind between the two, and you want to do something that more supports the Constitution and the Second Amendment, they'll give you the information for that. Now, your choice is your choice. Just throwing it out there, and there's a good article on that. And like I said, the video is embedded within the article that actually talks about how this got started and kind of gives both sides of the issue. So go ahead and look at that. And with that in mind, just remember, folks, we have our beloved, and I use that most sarcastic term possible, with great irony I say it, we have our beloved legislators back in Washington.
You don't have a right to know everything in a separation of powers government, my friend. That is the difference between a parliamentary government and a separation of powers government.
Hey, Eleanor. Yesterday my left knee got a lot of attention, so today you can kind of lick around my right patella there. Patella. That's like your kneecap, folks. Get your mind out of the gutter. But anyway, Eleanor Norton doesn't want us to know that a good portion of our legislators and members of the executive branch are back in town, and I'd say back to work, but that's such a relative term, because if they're campaigning, like for looking to get reelected in November, are they really working? Big hint. No, they're job hunting, even if it's a renewal of contract. But yeah, they're back in town. And along with that, good old Presbo gave a little speech in Estonia early this morning. While most of America was asleep last night, some people within the intelligence community, some smart guys, went through and tore apart the metadata and did some hard looking at the latest video to come from ISIS, and have confirmed that Stephen Sotloff, I can't say his last name, folks. I'm going to mess it up and mispronounce it. But the second U.S. journalist, their video that was released and has since been pulled down from YouTube, from what I understand, is authentic. And a second U.S. journalist that was held hostage in the Middle East, I think Syria is where he was taken as well, has been beheaded by ISIS on a very gruesome video. So President Obama, of course, came out and started flapping his gums and, of course, giving his condolences to the family and friends as well as the rest of America for the loss of this American. But then he said words along the lines of, America needs to act, but we can't act unilaterally. We need the support of the rest of the Middle East, we need the support of the rest of Europe, and we need somebody else's permission to go and fight back against these people who are fighting against us, even though we used to have like the strongest military in the world and stuff. But we need the rest of the world's permission to protect our nation and our citizens. And yeah, Russia and Ukraine, you guys need to come to some kind of agreement, and one of the two of you just needs to give up, and the weaker one just needs to bow to the stronger one, although I'm going to condemn the bully. But, yeah, clean air, clean water, you can keep your doctor if you want. There's some crappy words like that. Again, folks, we have no strategy. We have people that can come up with a decent strategy. There's an article that should be coming out on BuzzPost soon, if it isn't out already. So I'll take a quick look there and kind of see if somebody hasn't already put it up. But a group of soldiers and National Guard members took to an application called Whisper, and it hasn't been posted. The article hasn't been posted yet, so keep your eyes over at BuzzPost for it. But 9 veterans, 9 military personnel at least, have taken oath to Whisper to put up some anonymous kind of statements back to ISIS that kind of say, we're sick of it, and we hope that this wimp that's in the Oval Office will, take this leash off of us and let us go back to work and let us finish the mission that he stopped us from finishing, because we really want to kick your butt, and we really want to finish the job we started that he prematurely ended when he pulled us out of Iraq before. So there you have it, folks. Your military members, National Guard members, the ones that everybody thought was sick of being over there doing the job. It wasn't that we were sick of doing the job. It was that we were sick of every day having more and more of our latitude, more and more of our own decision making on the ground, knowing what's going on and being able to decide what to do about it, having that taken away more and more, being restricted more and more, to the point where we couldn't fight. All we could do is stand there and get shot at. And that really, when I left in 2010, it had gotten to the point where we had to ask permission from the Iraqis to leave our base and do our jobs in advising them, because that's what my job was over there. We had to ask for permission to come pick us up and bring us out so that we can help them. Please come and get us so we can help you. And then any kind of conditions that may have come up that we may have had to fight back to defend ourselves was a very limited scope what was allowed for us to actually shoot back. You damn near had to be shot in order to shoot back. Not just shot at, but shot in order to shoot back. And that's how bad it got, folks. And that's what we were complaining about, was the ROE had become so restrictive instead of common sense. And, so it wasn't that issue. If you let us go back over there with a decent set of rules of engagement, something that wasn't overly restrictive, then we can get the job done, folks, and we can get it done humanely. We wouldn't have to sit there and do things that other countries have done to deal with their problems. We would not be as bad as the British were against the IRA and Northern Irish. And, though some people may raise their eyebrows and think they went a little bit over the line, when you compare them with, I don't know, Mussolini, Hitler, Mao, and other extremists out there, Ho Chi Minh, what Britain did to quell the insurgency in northern Iraq was not over the line or extreme. And the really, really interesting thing is they still gave relative autonomy to the majority of Ireland anyway. So they weren't complete monsters. They just didn't want the extremists in charge. What'll happen? twisters there, folks. But anyway, that's kind of what's going on with your federal government. Now, speaking about our veterans, like I brought up there, let's take a reminder of what at least Texas is doing.
Have valiantly served and profoundly sacrificed for our nation. That's why Texas is expanding staffing at the Texas Veterans Hotline with experts trained to help veterans deal with the VA. Callers can learn what they qualify for, and in the most urgent cases, TVC experts will work directly with the VA to help veterans get the answers and care they need and deserve. Call the hotline at 1-800-252-VETS. Thank you.
And folks, every state kind of has their own Bureau of Veterans Affairs or what have you, and some are better than others. I don't know the ratings for them all. I know that I knew people who worked directly within California's, and with them it really depended on which worker you got, which caseworker, which social worker you got there within the California Bureau. Some of them worked great, worked hard, and muddled through, and that flat out busted a lot of the red tape and other multicolored tapes and got help for the veterans who needed help. In fact, I'm real quick going to give a shout to my friend Jessie, who lives up there in Northern California, and she's one that I know busted her butt. Disabled veteran herself. And Texas is doing a lot too. And again, with Texas, I do know it kind of is different from place to place depending on where you live in Texas. In some areas it's better than others. I currently have a friend who's doing some undercover investigating herself. Don't know what prompted this, and I really want to get inside her brain and talk to her a little bit. But she is currently kind of posing as a homeless veteran in order to prove that there are more assets available in some areas of Texas than in the area where she lives in, which is right near a large military presence on the coast. So she's trying to prove a point there. So let's hope that she's safe. But yeah, it does depend a little bit, but depending on where you live or where you're calling. But I'll tell you what, call the hotline, folks. Doesn't matter where in Texas you are. If you call the hotline, they'll find some way of helping you. No, they're not going to expect you to, or you can't just expect to sit on your butt and wait for them to come to you. If you call them, there has to be some effort on your own side. You know, you may have to take a bus somewhere or find some kind of transportation or something. You may have to put yourself in some kind of a shelter. The first thing you need to do, though, is admit that, hey, I need help, and call. And the Texas Veterans Hotline will do its best to help the veterans out there. So, but let's segue on to other things, folks. All kinds of interesting stuff going on there. We got Ben Carson basically saying the Islamic State needs to stuff it. And of course, he's saying so in his own words. We have Andrea Tantaros, or Tantaros. Hope I'm not mispronouncing your last name there, Andrea. I apologize. But from Fox News, who had made some statements on the air, and they've called for her to apologize, and she flat out said, no, I'm not going to apologize for calling ISIS a bunch of radicalists and a bunch of cowards, etc., etc. So that's kind of, being all up in the air. And then, of course, Obama, who one of his claims to fame is, I ended the war in Iraq, yet you pulled us out early, jackass. But now having to send more and more people back in, increasing sustainable security forces, it's for our continuing missions that are there, which are mostly diplomatic and advisory. We don't have a combat force there, but unfortunately, we don't have much to defend the diplomatic and advisor forces we have, so we need to plus that back up. Ooh, surprise, surprise. So that's all going on. And Obama supposedly has also had detailed briefings about ISIL, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, we'll pick the name of the day, and kind of ignored them. But for over a year, he's been warned that something had to be done and didn't do anything. You know, it's kind of like when Bubba Clinton, on September 10th, 2001, said, yeah, the guy who blew up our embassies and attacked the USS Cole, I had him in our sights, but unfortunately I couldn't accept the possibility there might be just one accidental collateral damage of somebody who may or may not be a member of the Taliban who hates us, but since we don't know whether that one possible other person hurt is a threat or not, I decided to do the judicious thing and not take Osama bin Laden out. And then, the next day happened. And it turns out that many of those people that could have been the, in quotes, collateral damage were probably advisors and couriers working for bin Laden who weren't exactly innocent. In fact, they were kind of complicit in the whole terrorist activities that Al-Qaeda does. They were bad guys, folks. Not as bad as a big guy, but they're still bad guys. So, yeah, the difference a day makes. But that's kind of going on. And stories similar to that are up there on BuzzPo. Let's go ahead and take a look at those. Take a good screen through and take a good read. Go to the homepage and pick a couple of the stories that interest you and read them. You won't be disappointed. You know, one of the things with this that reminds me, that's another story here, is one of the things of that kind of bothers me with this whole IRS targeting thing with Lois Lerner, et cetera, is they looked at the conservative non-for-profits, but they didn't bother to look at the political activities done by other nonprofits known as labor unions. Why not? And between Daily Caller and some emails they pulled up and other stuff that was kind of dug in and added to the whole debacle story, still unwinding scandal. If you go on over to BuzzPo, there's an article by I forget, folks, but there's an article called Lois Lerner Ignored Discrepancies in Political Expenditures by Unions, and kind of delves into a little bit more, that adds a little bit more. And it's by Christine, who I talked about yesterday with the 12 ways or 12 hints to help you get a better night's sleep. And she wrote this one that's a little bit more targeted towards what our bureaucracy is doing, and talking, of course, Lois Lerner and the fact that when targeting conservative groups, completely ignored, like I said, the political activities of unions. That's a good little article. And then something I kind of want to talk about a little bit. So be prepared, folks. You're about to get, I won't say an earful. Let's say about half an earful here, because you'll probably get some more when I get on to the next topic. But how many of you remember back a couple of years ago, and it's been ongoing since, we had a rash of what's called SWAT-ting going on. And what SWAT-ting is, folks, is some jackass decides, for whatever their evil reason is, to make a prank call to 911 claiming that somebody is doing something heinous and violent. So they send a SWAT team or a hostage rescue team or a CRT, or so many different acronyms out there, special weapons team, whatever, hostage rescue team, forget what CRT stands for, but it's a similar type of a thing. But they sent basically the goon squad, the armored, trying to act like they're a Delta Force or a SEAL Team 6 group police officers who, blow holes in your walls and smash up your windows and kick in your doors